Your arms can reach forward. You can slide your hands down your legs, or you can bring them up for a little bit more work. Come to your upright curl, fold the legs in, maybe pull them tight, just give yourself a little stretch in the low back. And then we're extending the arms at the side, reaching the legs long for your hundreds. Start pumping the arms, inhaling for 5 beats, exhale for 5 more. You try to imagine someone picking you up from the back of your skull, the occipital ridge, lifting your head up, and then your gaze is down on your navel. Watch your inhale expand the whole body, and particularly the abdominal wall. And then as you exhale, the navel pulls down and deep. You'll feel your waistline pressing into the ground. Keep stretching the arms away from the shoulders, pulling the shoulders away from the ears. Never take your gaze up, because if you do that, your head falls back and then your back will flatten. We don't want that, because you'll start to feel it more in your neck and less in your abs. Try to really have a deep crease right underneath the chest. And as you start to warm up, you may drop the legs a little bit lower. Keep reaching them long. Soft point through your feet without clenching the toes. You don't want to over point, because that will tend to cramp your feet. So let's go for a couple more breaths. Breathing in fully all the way to the base of the lungs. Breathing out completely, and then one more breath. From here, fold your knees in, lay your head down, and extend the legs forward for roll up. Here's where you could use a TheraBand around your feet. And we'll take the arms up to the ceiling. If you feel your shoulder blades drop into the ground, that's great. Feel your ribs settle. As you bring the arms back, do not let the rib cage lift. Keep the neutral spine here. When you bring the arms up, start to lift head, neck, and shoulders. Exhale, come over yourself. That first one's always hard. Dive over, stretch it out, reach here. Pull the waist back, and the shoulders relax down your spine. And then we start to roll back. You lift the tail forward. You curve your body into the ground as if you're suspended from your hands from springs. Reach the arms back and stretch out your lats. The muscles on your back get a stretch, as well as the stretch you feel through the front and sides. Coming up, exhale. If you're having trouble lifting, you can always take your hands to the mat or to your legs. Dive forward. It's also helpful to have hand weights. Bringing that weight forward with the weights in your hands will give you a little more lift. And on the way back, it'll decelerate your movement. The lower the arms are, the easier. The higher the arms are, the more difficult this is. Let's come up again, starting lifting. Exhale, curve here. Should feel a little bit easier as your body starts to warm up. Definitely that's the case for me, so I'm hoping it's the same for you. And you can lengthen out through your heels. Try to imagine your heels digging into the ground like anchors, holding you in place as you bring your body down slowly, smoothly to the ground. Let's just do one more. Coming up, exhale before you need it. And then you keep exhaling, exhaling, exhaling as the body dives over. Try to empty your lungs here as much as that's possible. And then we're going to bring it back down. Shoot the legs away from you as you lay your spine down 1 inch, 1 vertebra after the next. Come all the way down and then circle the arms around at your side. Single leg circle comes next. Here's another place you can use the TheraBand. Let's take it onto the right foot, or just pull the right knee into your chest. As you do that, stretch the left leg away. Extend the right leg up to the ceiling. Soft point through your foot, arms anchored at your side. Stretch them long to move the shoulders away from your ears. We circle, inhale across the body, and exhale, go low. Exhale, rotate out to the side, draw the leg up, lift it here, and you cross, and then you sweep it out and around. The more you push out into the foot, whether you're using the band or not, the more space you'll feel in your hip joint, the more length you'll feel in the muscles in that leg. We're going to keep both hips grounded today, so that you're putting more weight in the right side as the leg goes left, and more weight in the left side as the leg goes right. At the top, pause, and then reverse. Externally rotate to bring the right leg away from center, circle it across the body, and then bring it on up high. So you're really imagining that you're drawing a big circle in the air and actually onto the ceiling and the walls around you, as if your energy could go past the point of your foot and literally draw a circle on that space. Use that shortest inhale possible and the longest exhale possible, so you feel the abdominal wall knit together and in. Holding your body steady here, and let's circle one more time. We'll bring it around and up to the ceiling. And then here, let's scissor switch your legs. So one goes down, one goes up. Take a minute if you need to switch your bands. And now we circle across the body here. Left leg moves to the right, Exhale, around you go. Drag the leg up, lift it high, reach out through the center of the sole of the foot. Imagine here that you're not moving through air, but you're moving through water. There's a little resistance, and you have to push the water aside. Create waves in the atmosphere around you as you move. Feel the weight in your body shift, help you stay balanced and steady on your mat. There should be no rocking of the body, even while you're reaching the leg out to its fullest extent. One more. Complete the circle at the top and reverse. Take it out to the side and forward and around. Sweep it around and lift it up. Stretch it out and exhale completely to the top. Focus on your breath. Feel it move inside your body and then out into the space around you. Let's go for one more circle. Coming up to the top and stretch and then fold the knee in. The band comes off. We're rolling forward and up for rolling like a ball. You can take one leg up in the air, push the legs forward to come up to sitting. Draw your legs in towards your torso. Elbows are wide. Belly is pulled back, tail is lifted, and we lift the tail to roll back to your shoulder blades only. Exhale to come up to balance on that sacrum behind the sits bones. Now it's important with this that you really push back with your hands into your shins and then push out with your shins into your hands. You'll feel your arms firm up, but also your core engage deeper. By pulling the elbows wide and a little forward, you get to move your scapula sideways so that your rib cage and your spine can drop back, helping you find a deeper curve in that upper back. By keeping the gaze down, you always will bend the neck forward too, helping your spine stay in this curve. So as soon as you look up, the back will flatten, and then you don't want to roll. Do one more with a round curved spine, rolling a ball back and then forward. And now for the abs series, leaving your right hand at your right ankle, your left hand goes on the shin below the knee, and we extend the left leg. Come back slowly into your upper ab curl. Look right down your midline. Inhale, let's switch your legs. Left hand to the left ankle, and then switch again. Right hand to the right ankle. You can pull one leg in deep, and the other leg stretches out long. You also, of course, can take the leg higher up if that feels better for your abdominals or for your back. Let's end with the left leg pulled in tight. Bring the right leg in to meet it, one hand to each shin, double leg stretch. Arms and legs reach and lengthen through fingers and toes. Circle around to pull the legs in and reach again. Working level, right? You want to take your arms and legs as far forward and back as they will go respectively without flattening out your spine, without lowering your head, your neck, your shoulders into the ground. We'll do one last one here. Inhale to stretch. Exhale, embrace the legs in. Scissors is next. Right leg up and left leg is forward. We switch the legs. And switch again. Try to bring your hands up as high on the leg as you can, up to the ankle, up to the calf, whatever works for your alignment. And if you need to, bend your knee as you lift the leg up. You would need to do that if your hamstrings are tight, but then you can straighten it as you reach it away from you. Let's do one more set here. The left leg to the ceiling, bring the right leg to meet it. Hands come around and support the back of your skull. Elbows point forward, down and in. Now double leg, lower lift. They stretch away. Exhale, and then pick them up. Notice there's a slight pause at the end of the movement because I don't just want to bounce the legs forward and back in space, right? I want to really push them actively away from me, and then I'm going to lengthen, exhale, pull the belly deep to support the spine, and the psoas muscles alongside the spine pick up the legs. So you go out, 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 you reach, you exhale, and you lift. This can be a lot of work for your back, so be careful that you're not overarching the back. Try to keep your waist flat into the mat. From here, we twist elbow to knee, coming up to your right, and then switching your legs, coming up and around to the left. Armpit to the inner knee. You'll bend forward in your upper ab curl. You should definitely feel your obliques working to lift you and twist you at the same time. The legs shoot straight out of the socket and then pull right back into the chest. Even though the body is on a twist in the upper body, the pelvis stays grounded. We're going to do one last one, twisting to the left to end, and then lay it back down, hug the legs in. Just give yourself a little stretch here, low back, sacral area. And then we'll roll forward and up. You can take your hands to your thighs, both legs extended out as you come up. Open the legs, elevate your hips if your hamstrings are tight by sitting on a book, a yoga mat, a cushion, anything you have basically, and then sit upright. Be sure you can feel a little indentation at your waist. We extend the arms forward, pull the collarbones wide and the shoulder blades down, and then look down as you exhale, diving forward. The head leads you out, over, and down in a curve and an arc. Bend your spine, bend your knees if you must. Going over, you want to feel a healthy stretch at the back of the thighs. Press down through your heels, your sits bones, and articulate the spine up, lifting. Bring your gaze to the horizon. And then we look down again. Exhale all the way out, over and down. Then moves the neck first, then the upper back, then the middle back, then the low back. Be sure you sequence the spine forward. You move from the top down on the way over, and then from the bottom up on the way lifting. I imagine a ball rolling up the front of my body, goes under my chin, so my gaze is on the horizon, and then you exhale all the way out again. Dive it over, stretch it out, bend your spine, suck the waist back. Imagine there's arms around your waist pulling you back there as you try to reach forward and escape. And then you press into the mat with your legs and you articulate up. As you lift your chest, you'll feel the collarbones widen and the shoulder blades melt. One last one, go over to stay there. Hang onto your feet. Feel that stretch, maybe even flex the feet at the ankles to get more stretch in the back of your legs. Suck the waist back into whatever part of your spine feels tight. And then we're coming up for open leg balance and rocker. You pull your heels to your tail or your tail to your heels. We rock back, easier to take your hands to your thighs, more difficult, hands inside the legs. And we'll extend the right leg up, feet are lifted. Pick up the right leg, stretch it, hold your balance, look down at your navel, and exhale, connect your heels together. And then the left leg lifts here, the shoulder stays easy on your back. And then exhale, pull that down. That looks great, good. Do it again, right leg up. Full stretch to the back of the knee when that's possible for your body. Exhale, pulling it back. And now the left leg extends. Again, if you can't straighten it yet, we're working towards that eventually. Just go with what stretch feels right for you. Now both together, they both lift up. At this point, my hands sort of wrap around laterally around the low calf. And then as I come down, the hands come a little more to the inside of the leg. And we lift again, stretching here. And then exhale and pull it on back. Next time we lift, we'll stay there and get ready to roll. So you're going to move forward a little bit. And extend up, hold the legs up as high as you can, straight arms, straight legs. Look into your belly, you curl the tail up, roll back to your shoulders. Exhale, dive forward to your balance point. So keep looking down, balance on the scapula, come up and balance on your sacrum. Your hands may slide down your legs a little bit. Try to keep reaching up. Eventually, one goal might be to have the legs together and the feet flexed, which would make it much more difficult. Try to massage out your back as you roll in both directions. And be sure that you're rolling in a straight line back and a straight line forward, so you use the right and left side of your bodies equally. One more. Exhale to lift. Close the legs. We're going to leave the legs in the air. And then you can slide your hands down your legs as you roll your spine to the ground, or your hands can go free either way. Once your head is down, lift the legs vertically for corkscrew. So this is small circles with your legs up in the air. Bend your knees. If your hamstrings are tight, keep the feet right over the pelvic floor. So we circle the legs to the right, hold the left side heavy, and go forward, around to the left, keeping the right side grounded. Pick the legs up to the ceiling, and then we reverse. Going left with the legs, the right hip grounds you, and around you go. The size of the circle is dependent on your ability to keep the pelvis still. You'll feel this in your obliques if you manage to do that. Gradually, the circles can get a little bit larger as long as you can support it from your core without arching your back when the legs go forward. Really press your arms into the mat underneath you too to help you stabilize through the upper body. In all Pilates exercises, you end up working everything, not just what you see working, right? Something is moving, but something else is stabilizing all the time. And we end going from left to right. Take your time, use a nice long, slow exhale to help strengthen the low abdominals. And then we're rolling up to sitting. Open the legs for saw as you come up. So you roll up, the legs apart. And arms out to the side, slightly in front of your chest. Inhale, grow tall, and exhale, rotate to your right. The right arm goes behind you, the left arm crosses outside of the hand to the outside of the right leg. And reach long through the fingers, stretch them out, lift to pull up, come to vertical with your body in a twist, unwind through center and to the other side, dive your head out and over, and then try to open the chest more as you press one arm into the leg to pivot you around your central axis. Lift to come up, center here, arms extend, and then dive and stretch it out. You want to actually, as you're going to the right, put more weight into the left glute, anchor down through that sits bone, and now lift. As you center, feel equal weights in your two sits bones, and now put more weight in the right. Before you go over to the left, reach the arms away from each other, really lengthen here, really stretch it out. Coming upright, we'll do one more. It's an inhale to rise. Spiral back through center and to the other side, and you dive and you stretch over. Try to pull your head out towards your thumb and reach the other arm back. You want to feel that opposition and stretch as if your arms are the ropes in a tug of war. Let's do one last one. Going out, over, and down. Add a little more rotation through the upper part of your chest and shoulder and neck. And then lift to come up, centering to lower the arms down. Pull your legs together. We'll flip over onto the stomach here for your swan. So from here, forehead is floating off the ground. Hands are by the chest. You're going to push the mat back to propel the chest forward, coming up, shoulders down, eyes up, heart up. Release your body down a little bit at a time. Looking down and forward on the ground. And again, pull the chest forward, try to lengthen the abs, come up, up, up. The shoulder blades knit together behind you. You can release down, the arms are working, the back is working, the belly is releasing as you come to the ground. We're going up and do what's called catch and release, unless you just want to do what you just did. In catch and release, you go up, you release the hands, kick the legs in the air, use your glutes. And then you catch yourself, your gaze is always up. You never get your face planted into the mat. At least that would be the goal. And one more. And then you can sit back in your child's pose, round your back, stretch it out. Okay, that looked good, really nice. And then from your child's pose, we curl the tail under and stack the spine up. Okay, I want to just take one moment to talk about extension here, because what happens in extension is sometimes people just, they push their belly forward and lean back because the low part of the back wants to move into extension, and actually so does the neck. But if what you do is just like pulling your belly forward and throwing your head back, you're going to end up crunching here, and it's not going to feel good at all. The important thing to get out of that is to find length. So everyone just stand for a second. I'm going to stand behind this so you can see me from the side. And if you take your hands below your navel, above the pubic bone, press into your abs a little bit, and then you're trying to go up instead of just backwards. So we would imagine that you're going to get longer, longer, longer up to the area right under your chest, and then waterfall backwards from that point so that you're not leaning forward with the abdominal wall. Like I'm not hinging from my ankles to push my belly forward, because then I'm going to feel compressed in the low back. Instead, you want to feel the front of the body elongated until it doesn't elongate anymore, and then you fall backwards just with the upper part of the ribs, the shoulders, and the neck. So the idea is not to accentuate what already bends backwards, but to try to bend backwards in the thoracic spine where the ribs are, because that's the part that needs to find more movement in the backwards direction. So if you start with your hands low, again, like below the navel, push in, and then drag the tissue up. Everyone's got a little flesh here. We're going to pull it in. When you get to the ribs, turn your palms up and the pinky edge of your hand pushes into the bottom rib cage. We're going to lift the ribs one by one till you come up to the chest. Take your hands up to your sternum, your breastbone. Slide your hands up the sternum till you get to the collarbones. Pull the hands along the collarbones, let your elbows fall back and down, and then pull them together to lift your chest and let your head fall backwards as far as you're comfortable. And then release out of it, exhaling, and let the arms settle. And notice how long you feel in the front of your body. So that's what we're trying to feel when we're in these extension exercises like Swan that we just did, and like the single leg kick that we're about to do. Let's try it one more time. I imagine that like My whole body is inside like a tube of toothpaste. It's being squeezed from the bottom. So we go up, 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 up until the toothpaste flows back and over behind the wall of the tube, right? So one more, hands to low belly, press in, pull up. Imagine you could lift the navel up about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Keep bringing your hands up, get your hands under the rib cage, pick the ribs up one by one, come to the chest, you lift it, your hands go to your sternum, you lift your sternum, you expand it, your heart's a little bit to the left here, think of your hands sliding across the collarbones to open them wide. You pull your elbows together, feel that you're squeezing the ribs behind you to inflate the ribs in front of you. You go up and back, let your head fall backwards, and then exhale and release out. And this should feel amazing for your body, right? Can you feel how elongated you are? And if you tried to slump, your body would resist. It wouldn't want to like fall forward and collapse over your desk or your computer or whatever you're working on, right? And that's important for us because it really helps balance out our poor postural habits. So let's go into now into the ground again. So it's much harder to do swan here because now gravity's pulling more length. When you're standing, gravity's more in your favor. We're going to prop up onto the forearms. And again, push down with your elbows, push down with your fist. Try to pull the mat towards your knees, your feet, and then feel how your chest wants to go forward and how your abdominal wall wants to stretch. Now pull the chest open, expand it, look up. You should feel like even the skin on your abdominal wall is stretching. Can you guys all feel that? That looks good, really nice, right? Now don't collapse. We don't want to just like fall in and kind of slump from our shoulders. We're pulling forward and getting the support of the abdominal wall. And we'll kick the right heel in twice. 1, 2, lower it down, now the left, 1, 2, lower it down, now the right. So you may feel that stretch in your quads with every beat. The hamstrings are working to pull the heel in towards your sits bone. But at the same time as you're kicking with your legs, you're really working to maintain that feeling of elongation in the front of your body, the contraction and strength in the back of your body. Keep pushing down with your arms and pulling your blades together and down by your tailbone. That lifting and pulling forward of that abdominal wall also helps you open up your hips. So your hips are now in a little extension because the low belly, the navel is being pulled forward and up. You've got a little bit of an arch in that spine, which helps stretch out the psoas muscle alongside the spine there. Let's do one more set. And then push off the ground. Sit back in your child's pose, round your back in the other direction. If you have any questions about that or anything else, just hang for a little bit at the end of class and ask me. Happy to look at what you've been doing. Let's see how that goes. All right, so we'll skip the double legs stretch because we spent some time on the standing swan. And now let's go into neck pull. So this is a more advanced version of your roll up. Legs are apart, about 4 to 5 inches, not more than hip width. Take your hands behind the back of your head, pull the skull up, lift the elbows, drop the shoulders, and we lean back as if our torso was on a plank or was a plank itself. You pitch back from your sits bones. And then before your back arches, you look down, you pull the elbows in. You can even extend the arms slowly forward so that you go down with control. If roll up is still a challenge for you, use a TheraBand and just play with this with the band. Now that you're down, we come up, we press the fist into the palm of the other hand. Think straight line, elbow to elbow. Lift the head, neck, and shoulders. Exhale, push into your arms, round up, and then curve over. As soon as you can, bring your hands behind your head. Now do not push down because you want to protect the cervical spine, the neck, but pull forward. Try to literally elongate your neck as you pull your halo out between your feet, suck the waist back, you curve your spine and drop down low. And then you stack the spine bottom to top, just like we did in spine stretch earlier in the series. Lift the head, lift the elbows, drop the shoulders, hinge back again. Think of energy pouring out through your feet, your heels heavy. When you need to, you round down. You can pull the elbows forward. You curve your back into the ground. As you get to the ribs, you flatten the tail. You go all the way down. And then we lift to come up. Change your fist to the opposite hand. So if you feel that straight line, You can just stay here and just feel what it feels like to push the hands into each other. See how that firms you up in your tricep, in your lat, it's the back muscle of the armpit, in your serratus at your side, and connects you into the obliques right under the chest. That's why you want to punch right before you exhale and lift the ribs off the ground. Exhale, push the arms together, lift to come up. You'll feel that engagement through the upper abdominal wall, wraps around you to go forward. The head is dropping down, but the head is also being lengthened by the tug of the hands to the skull. And then roll your spine up, come all the way up. We'll just do one more. So try to lift your ribs off the pelvis, hinge back, keeping the length front, back, and side on your waist. And then whenever you're ready, you tuck, you look down, you pull the elbows in a little bit, move the blade sideways, work your way down with control. I'd much rather the movement was smooth as opposed to the elbows were back in a really extreme version. So now we're lifting to come up, push hand into hand, lift your head, neck, shoulders, exhale, and come up and over, diving forward. Head pulls long, stretch your neck to feel that length and decompression in the rest of your spine. And then we're coming all the way up again. We'll end laying back, so we get to go down one more time. But good news, you don't have to come up again, at least today. Lean back, tuck, and roll it on down. Remember, if you're tiring, you can always bring the arms forward, bring yourself into the ground with that connection. Go to the ground here, into bridge. So for shoulder bridge, we're focusing again on spinal articulation, which just means moving your spine one vertebra at a time from one end of the body to the other. So we press the arms down at your side. They lengthen, reach your fingers out towards your heels. If you tend to cramp in your hamstrings, it's useful to take a ball or a yoga block or even a rolled up cushion between your legs. So we begin with the pelvic tuck. So you curve the tail up, the waist presses down. You stand in your feet, you stand in the arms, and you pull the tail and the knees forward and up. At the top of the movement, press down through your shoulders, roll a little to the outside of the arms, feel your blades pull together so your sternum lifts, your heart rises, and use a lot of work through your glutes to push your hips up as high as you can go to the ceiling. Now we roll to the inner arm, feel the blades move sideways, round your back, curve it down, the tail stays up as long as possible. You're imprinting your low back down, your sacrum down, your tailbone down. So you come back into your neutral spine. You've got the natural arch at your waist. And we do that again. So begin with the pelvic curl, tip the tail, press into the mid back, start to pull the heels back and the knees forward. The tail follows the space between the knees. You go up as if your knees are being pulled by magnets to the wall in front of you. At the top, push down through the top of the shoulders, roll a little bit to the outer arm, and your chest rises, pick it up and pick up your hips a little bit more, really push down through your arms and your feet. That'll give you more lift. And then we roll to the inner arm. Now the extension we did in the hips with the swans earlier will help you get more hip opening there. It's not just about the strength you have in the back line, it's also about your ability to open in the front. Come all the way down and release it down. We'll do one more. Let the pelvis rock all the way down so the tail is grounded and the waist is floating. And we do one more. So you tip the tail up, you start to feel the mobility in the rest of the spine as you move the lower end of it. And then the tail leads you up off the ground. It's like someone is picking up the end of a pearl necklace and lifting it one glossy pearl at a time out of a velvet case. So at the very top, you push down into your shoulders, you lift your heart, you push down through your feet, you lift your hips, feel that work in your legs as well as in your back. And then we're going to come slowly down, feel your blades widen as you roll slightly to the inside of the arm. If you don't do that, you end up going down, starting at your waist. We're really trying to mobilize every vertebra, starting at the top by the base of the neck. Go all the way down. Release your tail there. That was good. Hopefully that felt really thorough and satisfying, and you can feel all the vertebrae moving on and off the ground. From this point, let's pull one knee into your chest, and we roll forward and up for spine twist. Extend the legs forward. Here they're together, the feet are flexed. And again, if your back line is tight, you'll want to elevate your hips. I'm going to move over a little bit so I don't hit the wall. And we extend the arms out, reach them long. Sit perched upright on your sits bones, shoot flames at the fingertips. So you reach across the space you're centered in, and we rotate to the right. Twisting here, pulsing 1, 2, and 3. Lift to center and then to the left, and you pulse 1, 2, and 3. Come center. Let's do a different variation. Take your hands and overlap them on the top of your head. Push up with your head, pick up your chest, and elongate your waist. Now, as you rotate here, really twist from the waistline. So you don't get the cheating ability of swinging the arms around to move your torso. You've got to move from your center. Really feel what it's like to use those obliques to pivot the rib cage around. And maybe think of the pelvic girdle moving in the opposite direction so that your feet stay together and in the same plane. We actually are looking to be sure that the legs are stable so that when you twist, you don't get this like offset of the hips and the offset of the feet. I don't know if you can see that, but right now as I twist to the right, my left leg has gone forward and my right leg is pulled back. That would be incorrect. We're trying to think of the legs staying glued together and glued to the floor. And picture that your tailbone is in between your two pelvic halves and the tail spins and twists the body, but you're not moving the pelvic halves. Good, one more set. Keep reaching up as you come through center. You can melt down a little as you rotate. Come center and then just extend the arms. Do one more set here. Try to work from your core, from the middle of your body, not from your arms as you rotate. Twist and pump the air out. Come center, float up, and then twist again. Wring yourself out here. And back to center to lower the arms. Okay, jackknife is next. If doing this kind of inversion where you lift your legs and tail up in the air is new to you, it's helpful to take some kind of support under your hips. You could use a roller, you could use a yoga block, you could use some books, but then we'll roll down. If you're used to shoulder stand in yoga, this is basically that. So arms at your side, we pull the knees into your chest, you lift the legs up. Now, it's easier to take the legs a little bit forward, give yourself a little momentum as you swing the legs up and over. Look only up, don't look to the side. We're gonna pull the legs up and over, push to the ground, bring the legs over as low as possible is easier. As you advance, the legs go up, right? So if I was here, at the more advanced version, I would lift my legs up as high as possible. And eventually I would come up and leave the legs there and not start with them low. In any case, wherever the legs are, you want to press into your arms and slowly release your spine down. Keep looking up and slightly back, almost like you're looking for your hairline. And you're going to stretch the legs forward and you feel that nice stretch in your spine. You decompress it on the way down and you take the legs out. Only what we call our working level. The legs are in a position where my body hasn't changed. The legs are at an angle that is challenging my abs. And then we're lifting the legs up over again. If your hamstrings are tight again, you might bend the knees as you bring the legs over your head. Stretch the legs long. Initially, when we learn this, the legs start low. You will feel a nice stretch from your heels all the way into your shoulders. And then release it down. Try to keep the legs as low as possible initially. Get that stretch into the back line of your body, and then take the legs away. And then you may want to try adding a little bit of a leg lift once you're over. So legs go forward, squeeze them together so you feel your central axis engage. Press with the arms, start to lift legs, tail lifts up. Take the legs higher up this time. And then maybe you want to lower them before you bring your body down. Try to imprint your spine right down the midline of the mat. The arms press the floor away for resistance. So we're using our lat muscle eccentrically. It releases your spine down 1 inch, another inch, another inch, until you can take the legs out and stretch there. Okay, good work. And then let's pull the legs in and rock forward and up to sitting. We're going to skip the side kicks today. I will run a few minutes late because we had some technical trouble getting into the session today. So if you can stay, do that. And if you can't, I understand. Maybe pick up the end of it on YouTube. All right, so here we go. We're going into our teaser. So let's actually practice everyone today with your TheraBand. I'm going to grab one too. This is a great way to build strength into your core and protect yourself while you're building strength to do this exercise. So we'll have the feet flexed at the ankles. Take the band wide around the ball of the foot and the arch. The toes are above the band. Curl your tail up and sink back towards your sacrum. Pick up your legs. So the band helps support it. My elbows are down and by my side. I might pick them up a little bit here so you can see more of my torso, but you can bring your arms down and in, whatever sort of feels better for you. Now, the first thing we're going to do here is push the legs out into space. There's increased load. You want to be sure you can still feel a rounded low back and you're not arching, right? And then pull the knees in nice and slow. So what you don't want to see is you don't want to arch the back as the legs go out, whoop, right? Because that will take you off balance. It also will arch your spine, which is not a good place to be when you're trying to support the weight of your legs. Instead, keep lifting your tail, keep rounding your belly into the curve of your back, as if you were like sinking a bowling ball in between your navel and your pubic bone here, and wrap your body around it. And then you pull the legs back in. You can see you're trying to figure out like how to hold your balance against the increasing weight and length of your legs. And then you can draw it on back. Now, one of the things you want to watch too is if you look at yourself in the screen, right? Hopefully you can see yourself and not just me. You want to be sure that you're not falling back as you take the legs away. So we're trying to hold the head, the shoulders, the torso in position as you reach the legs out, and hold the torso in position as you pull the legs back. Good, very nice. And then just rest your heels down for a second, open your knees, and then dive forward. Take a little stretch here in case you needed that. Coming up. And now we'll pick up the legs again. Keep them in your tabletop position, which just means like almost like 90-degree angle at your legs. The shins parallel to the floor. Now the goal is to roll your spine down a bit. So you curl the tail up. Do not arch. You've got to imprint down, roll through the sacrum, roll down towards your hips, roll down towards your waist. And you're trying not to move the feet. They stay exactly where they are. And then you can come up. You can use your arms. You're going to use your core. You're going to use your psoas to pull up to where we started. Good. And again. Now, if this is hard, and I know, like when I first learned it, it was a mess, right? So what you can also do is you can press your feet into the wall and, or even like the back of a sofa or a chair, if you're at home probably, right? So put your feet into something solid, keep your feet there, you're still using the band, and then you can go down. And if you do that, because your feet are pressing into something, you're going to have more connection. So we call it a closed kinetic chain. It makes it easier to work. So I learned to do that. And even like on this piece of equipment, I have just a narrow bar, but that's really stable. So if my feet could be on a wall, we could pretend that framework is a wall here, but then I would go down as far as you want to, and then learn to come up, sucking the belly in and wrapping the spine around it. The body's in a curve, almost like the rolling like a ball position that we did earlier in the session. So you're going down, you can press your legs into something, and then pull up. And of course, you can bend the arms more to have more work from the strap assisting you. And then once you sort of figure that out, you can practice it with your feet off of the wall, off of the sofa, and then you're going down with your body, eventually all the way down, and then lift to come up. Remember to exhale through the hardest part and pull your torso towards your legs. That's good. This is a really hard exercise to do correctly, and using the band allows you to figure out like how to balance the masses of your body. And I do just want to say too, a reminder that for the men in the class, you have more weight in your chest. Women tend to have more weight in their hips. And so you have a little bit different point of balance. So whereas I need to be, and most women need to be, with their toes sort of at eye level, most guys need to have their feet a little bit lower. Otherwise, when they start rolling back, if I was built like a guy, my feet were up here. As soon as I tried to roll back, I'd be more likely to fall backwards, right? Because the weight of my shoulder girdle and the chest muscles and the shoulder muscles would just tip me back over onto my back like a turtle, right? So For most women, you're going to keep your legs a little higher. For most guys, your legs will start a little lower. Now, the next version, let's rest for a second here. Just have a couple more minutes until you may have to move on to your next thing, but if you can stay a little later, do so. So here, we're going to move both ends of the body, the legs and the torso. So let's start with the legs up again. Find a place where you have a balance point on your sacrum. And then as you curl the tail up, push the legs away from you and roll the torso down. So you stretch out, and then you're going to pull the knees in and the torso up. Now, I teach all my clients to do this slowly because it's really easy and teaser to kind of fake it by throwing your body down to the ground using gravity and then just coming up using momentum. But if you don't know how to work this balance, you're going to lose all of the deep core work. And it's just like luck, if you manage to go down safely or not. But if you don't practice like this, right? So come up slowly. Feel that work. Now, eventually, as you go down, you want to go down and have your heels land right when the tip of your blades do. That way you're in your upper curl and your back is safe, and then you can lay your head down. Then you lift your head, neck, and shoulders to your upper curl, and then you can lift the legs as you come up and in. And eventually the legs will be straight when they're elevated here. As we learn it, we start with bent knees. So hopefully that was helpful. I mean, teaser is one of those exercises. I literally have had clients come into the studio and say, oh, my husband or my wife, they can do teaser. I want to learn how to do that. And it's a great exercise. It's really challenging. It's super strengthening. And it's also one of those exercises where if you do it incorrectly, you can really mess up your low back. So it's important to spend the time and balance out your body and understand how you work it up and down off the ground. So you did great. Thank you for taking the time for that. I'm going to move on now to hip circles. So we're going to lean back onto our elbows. And it looks like you're kind of lounging here, like maybe looking out at the sky or, just thinking to look out at the world around you. But we don't want to just collapse here. We want to make this active. Try to pull back with your torso a little bit. So imagine that my lower ribs are pulling back behind me between my elbows. And the effect is that you get this tractioning effect from your waist to your sacrum, almost as if I'm trying to pull the leggings off of me just with that drag. And when you feel that drag, that elongation in the low back, you're in the right position to do your hip circles here. So you pull one knee in, then the other, and then lift the legs up to the ceiling. If the knees won't straighten, you have a couple options. You could always elevate your hips like on a folded towel or a cushion, or you can bend the knees. From wherever you are, we do small circles. The legs go out to the right, around to the left, complete the circle and lift, right? So this is a progression from your single leg circles and then from your corkscrew that we did earlier. It's harder to do. You need more length in your back line to keep the chest up and the legs elevated as well. I'm looking at the screen to see how you guys are doing, which you look great. You could look down into the belly to avoid hanging your head back and flattening out your spine, right? We're still trying to have that sort of a C curve feeling in the back. Let's do one more. Going from right to left, complete the circle, and then from left to right. Okay, fold the knees in, lay the feet down, come on up. And we'll skip swimming for today, just like we skipped the side kicks. We'll be sure to hit them next time. And let's end with your seal. So taking your hands between your legs, the knees are open, edges of the feet together. Wrap your hands around your ankles, rock back on your sacrum, pick up your feet, open and close the legs to clap 1, 2, 3. Look into your belly, we roll to the shoulders. Try to keep your head and neck off the ground. Clap once, come forward and clap 1, 2, and 3. Just do that again. So eventually you're trying to clap 3 times with your butt in the air before you come up. But you can practice this clapping once or twice. It's hard to find that balance point where your neck is off the ground and you have enough elevation and a moment to pause while you clap overhead. And let's just go for one last one. Energy up through the tailbone will help you suspend. All right, darlings, excellent job. Thank you so much. I hope all those things were helpful. Any questions, please hang out and ask me. Otherwise,